Hey everybody, and welcome to Art Friday in the Art Room with Miss Hope. And today we are going to be working on a cultural art project. Since it is Black History Month, we're going to go to West Africa today for our inspiration. And what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be talking about Kente cloth. And I'm going to show you some examples in the school platforms, not on the computer right now, but I'm going to be showing you some examples on the school platforms that you can use to reference when you're designing your project today. But it's going to be a really cool paper weaving project. So you're going to need construction paper of all different sizes, or all different colors, I should say. So construction paper, different colors, a black Sharpie marker or black Crayola marker or black crayon or black paint, and a scissor, and possibly a ruler. If you like to measure things out, a ruler is going to be helpful for you, but otherwise, or to make straight lines. So you want to grab that ruler or something straight to cut across your paper to make straight lines, and we're going to get right to it. I'm going to read you a little bit of history about what a Kente cloth is, and what we're going to do today to make that happen in an art project. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go to the overhead camera here. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is taking a piece of construction. I've already started cutting supplies, but that's just to show you what things are going to look like. But we're going to walk through this from the very beginning of the project to the end. But first, I want to let you know what a Kente cloth is. It's a cloth of beautiful colors and patterns that were started in many countries in actually, that was started in Ghana. That's where it came from the Ashanti people. And these patterns and fabrics are used in many countries of West Africa. So that it has spread across West Africa. These colors and patterns are very well known. You've probably seen some yourself. So when you see some of the examples that I upload, I'm sure that some of you will recognize some of these patterns and colors before. So they came from the Ashanti people in Ghana, and they actually would weave the cloth, and it had wonderful colors, bright colors, and different textures. It's very rich in cultural association, and it's actually really beautiful. There's a lot of really intricate patterning done with this, and we've done patterns on paper before, but these are actually woven out of cloth and string and fabric. And so we're not going to be using the cloth, but we are going to use original patterns with construction paper and using different colors and kind of simulate the look of what a Kente cloth looks like, okay? So something to also know is that, and this is a little chart that I'm including for you. Let me see if I can zoom in for you a little bit so you can see with me here. Okay, so I printed this. This is like a little guide to help you understand the way that colors are used in the weaving of these cloths, okay? So red represents passion, bloodshed, and death. Purple represents femininity, being female, and healing. Green represents planting and growth, or the earth. Gold represents royalty and wealth. Black represents maturity and strength. Blue represents peace and harmony. And white represents purity and healing. Okay, but there are Kente cloths that use other colors that aren't exactly explained here, and it's okay if it doesn't have a meaning. But if you want to use this kind of as a guide of how you want to, how you want to create your quilt, your weaving today, then this is a great way to kind of guide your color choices. Okay, so this is going to be included in the handout, in the printouts for the online stuff. Okay, so you guys have mostly, if you've ever done art with me, you've done paper weaving before, because this is something that I try to do with every grade at some point. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. So what is important to know about the base of the weave is that it has to be cut a certain way, so that way when you open up the paper, you've got this accordion looking, cut that doesn't go all the way through to either side, and it leaves enough of a border that you can weave the paper through, under and over, and it won't push all the way out. Okay, but I'm gonna show you how to achieve this if you've not done this for some reason with me, or perhaps you're new to Atala and you have not done this yet. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So there's gonna be a couple different steps. We're gonna do this first, and then let me show you here. So what I did was I started cutting out the paper strips in different colors, okay? And I left these blank. But then I thought, we're going to be talking about patterns, so maybe it might be fun to do some patterning on the paper before I cut it. So I only did this one. I did these like wavy lines, and just imagine that they're going to be cut into strips, so the pattern is already on there before I start weaving it. And that's a really smart way to do it, because then you don't have to go back in and do it. You kind of get to skip a step, okay, or add a step in the beginning. But if you don't do it this way and you're going to weave with your color, whatever colors you're choosing, I'll go back over this method in just a second. I'm just doing this quickly to show you the other way to do the patterning, is that once you weave the strip through, you can then, choose your pattern. I'm just doing a circle and a dot right now. Oh, I gotta go to the other side and do the circle and the dot over there. Okay, so you can leave it like that, and trim off the edges when you're done with the project, and you can weave your strips of colored paper first and then do your designs. But I think it's going to take a little bit more time if you do that, which is fine if you've got the time to do art, and you don't want to rush through this and you really want to slow down and take your time, then you can do it this way. But if you like the other method, which is where you design first, and I'll do one of those examples with you too. So for this one, for the green one, I'm going to do, let's say I'm going to do lines, straight lines going horizontal. I'm going to show you how to make a checkerboard pattern if this is something that you're interested in. Now, this is a very geometric project. It can be a very geometric project. So you're kind of bringing in some math here, some geometry, some knowledge of shapes. I'll show you a couple different things on this green paper that you can use. Okay, so now I've got my horizontal lines. Now I'm going to go ahead and make vertical lines. Now I'm not using a ruler. I'm just relying on my ability to draw a sort of straight line. It does not have to be perfect, guys. But if you really like those sharp, crisp, perfect lines, then go ahead and get your ruler or straight edge, piece of cardboard, or, cut open a cereal box that you don't have any more cereal left in and use that as a ruler. Whatever you've got that's straight will help you. So I'm just making vertical lines down that cross over or hatch over the horizontal line. And we're almost at the end. Now I'm thinking about what I'm going to put inside my box here. Now, there's a couple different things that you can do. You can just do the every other black box and create a checkerboard pattern. That's fine if you want to do that. You see how it creates the checkerboard pattern? You want to make sure you're skipping, so you're doing one line. Don't do what I'm doing, because I'm going down. Actually, you can do it that way. You can work in the down quadrant, so you can go down, or you can go across and just do every other, and then on the next line do every other, the opposite from what you did in the line above, and that gives you that checkerboard pattern. And you can also create a geometric, so I'm going to put two triangles in one box, like that. And I can do every box next to each other if I want to, or same as the checkerboard, just skip every other. When you guys start looking through the Kente Cloth examples, you will get a better idea of what kinds of patterns are traditional to use, and you can use those for your own ideas, or you can just, on a scrap piece of paper, just play around with some ideas. Make up your own idea. See, so you can do something like that. Okay, you can do something like that. Or you can just do, diagonals if you want to. And you can color one side and leave the other side, or you can do opposites, however you want to. This is such a cool project, and you could do this so many ways. So just go ahead, have some fun, explore patterns, you know, work in a sketchbook or on a scrap piece of paper first until you're confident about what you're doing, okay? And see how many different patterns you can come up with, and then go have some fun with it. And if you really want to just leave it and just do colors, you can just do colors for right now. If that's easier for right now, then stick to what's simple until you get the hang of the weaving, and then you can always add to the project later. So I'm going to pause for right now, and I'm going to finish this up, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to start weaving. Okay, so I've done a couple of different examples to show you what we're going to be cutting up. So this is what I spent some time working on pattern-wise, and yeah, it's got a lot of stuff going on in it, but that's just an example. Yours does not have to look like mine. That's just what I was feeling like I wanted to do. And then I did another one where I just did a couple of different line patterns going in different directions, and this was the original one that I showed you guys. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them. Okay, so this, again, this is, you may want to use a ruler for this. Also, I want you to understand, here's a full-size sheet of paper. I'm not cutting it this way, because if I cut it this way, watch what happens. It won't reach the edges of the construction paper. So you want to cut it the long way, even though there's going to be an overlap. You can trim that later. You want to cut it the long way, okay? Not the short way, the long way. All right, that's important for you to know. So let me start with a new sheet of paper, a new sheet of construction paper, just because I want to show you how to cut this properly, so you don't, let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay, here's my construction paper. So you're going to fold it in half. And it's okay to have a parent help you or somebody help you. Once you fold it in half, okay, I just want you to, I'm opening up to show you, for example, you turn it so that the folded edge is toward you, because that's the part you're going to be cutting. You're not cutting the open edge. If you cut the open edge, you're just going to make strips of paper. So you want to cut, and here's where you can use a pencil to draw lines, and you can make, I'll do it with my black marker so you guys can see. Let's say I want to like make sure I stop at a certain point. Okay, so if I had a ruler, here's what I would be doing. I would be making a line, and to make sure that I stop there. You also don't want to cut too much, too close to the edge. So you want to make like a border for yourself. That just helps you visually see. Don't cut past those lines, okay? So it will look like this. And now what you do is, if you need to make the lines, you can, or you can just cut them freestyle. So what I'm going to cut this black line just up to the black line, okay? So you see? And then I'm going to cut my next line next to it up to the black line. Cut my next section up to the black line. If you go just a little bit beyond it, sometimes it happens. Just don't go to the edge, because if I were to keep cutting, I would cut this whole thing apart, okay? So just make sure you're paying attention and you're careful. Go nice and slow if you need to. If you want to draw the lines first, you can. Remember, you do this the way that you need to do this, the way that's going to be successful for you. There's many ways to get to the end of this project here. And then I have one more cut. And once you do that, you've got the base for your weaving. And then you can start weaving your papers. Okay, so perfect. Now you've got that accordion style. So you just open it up. I'm going to open it on the other side so that way I don't see the black line. Okay, now we're going to be working on over, under, over, under. And every other line is going to be the opposite of the one before it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these strips. Again, the long way, remember. So I'm cutting 3 pieces of paper together. You don't have to do that. I'm just doing that to save myself time. and so that I can get right to the really cool patterns that I'm gonna add onto my weaving here. I'm excited about this. I've actually never done it like this before. I've done tons of weavings, just have never done this particular kind. So this is fun for me to do something new with you guys. Alright, so I've got all these really funky, cool designs. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. Okay, so I'm going to start. You just start with whatever color you want to. Now, if you start over, your next step is under, like behind, and then over, and then behind, and then over, and then behind, and then over, and then behind. Just be careful, you don't want to rip your paper. Over, and then behind. Okay, that's our first line. Now I'm going to take, I'm not going to have enough to get all the way down, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a plain blue. Now because I started my top line over, my line now is going to start under. So I'm going to come from behind that first strip, okay, to make it opposite. You see how it's opposite? That one is over, this one is under. And it goes over the second. Now if you make a mistake, guess what? You pull out the strip of paper and you just start over. And you know what? In some cultures, the way that they weave and make art, in Native American cultures this is true, they weave a mistake purposely into their weaving to remind themselves that they are not perfect, that only their God is perfect. Now I'm going to take this funky one here with all the different cool patterns on it, and now where do we start? We did over, then we did under. Now where do we start? You should say over. Okay. Over. So that means that you're pulling up the second one so that you can start it, and that would be under. And it goes over, and then under, and then over, and under. Weaving is an ancient form of art. They made baskets with grass and different materials. Okay, so now we've got this really cool pattern happening here. And now I'm going to do another yellow. And if I did this one, if this one was over, under, over, now I start under. So behind and above, and then behind, and then over, and then carefully behind, and then over, and then behind, over. And so keep checking yourself and just make sure that you've got that checkerboard effect. So it's every other, okay? From the opposite from what it looks like above. So if this one is over and this one is over, you know you've got to pull that one out and fix it, okay? Right now I'm going to use a blue with a pattern. And I'm going to start over. Over, under. It's actually, this is pretty relaxing to do, in my opinion. This is a kind of fun, relaxing project to do. I'm going to show you a little trick at the end to get rid of these edges, okay? And now I'm going to do, green is going to be the next one in my pattern here. I'm going to start under because my last line was over. I'm excited to see what you guys are going to do. Again, if you need some help or you need to practice first, you can practice pretty much anything we do. You can practice first with scrap paper, whether it's a drawing exercise or something with paint or something with cutting. You can practice, practice, practice. Okay, and then we're going to do yellow. And we're going to start over. I'm going to flip this around for you guys because I realize you can't see the screen. Under, over, under. Sometimes Miss Hope gets distracted or confused too. Sometimes I make mistakes and I gotta go back and fix things. And then after yellow comes blue. And then this is gonna be over. Oh, may not have enough room. I may have to cut these a little bit. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this one out. This blue one. I'm going to take this blue one out and I'm going to do it with one of the blues that I have drawn on already. And so this was over and this is over, so this one is going to be an under. I'm just going back and redoing what I had before. Okay, sorry if that's confusing, but I only used that plain blue one because I thought I wasn't going to have enough strips, but I have more than I need. Plus, don't get frustrated with yourself if you make a mistake, okay, guys? It's normal to happen. Mistakes happen. That's life. Just got to deal with them, and how you deal with it is more important than the mistake sometimes. Sometimes the mistake is not good, and it ends up being a pretty big consequence for it, and you can't fix it sometimes. But when we're doing art, most things you can fix. So that's over, and this is under. Okay. Cool. All right, there we are. And then I'm going to push this up, and it should give me a little more room at the bottom now for the next and last strip that I need to include. I'm just pushing. It's coming out pretty cool. All right, I pushed those all up, and now I've got space for my last blue, which is going to be this one, and it's going to be under. And then as soon as we're done, I'm going to show you the trick to getting rid of the edges. There's a couple different ways you can do it. And then your final, the final idea of what the picture, what the leaving will look like. Okay. Sorry guys, my fingers don't work so well. Okay. All right, cool. So now we've got this really, really funky pattern design. Let me wide zoom it a little bit. Okay, cool, right? So but you've got these edges that are sticking out. There's a couple different things you can do. You can fold them over and glue them. That only works for the ones that go over. You can't fold this over, okay? So here's what I would do personally. I would pull to the edge as carefully as you can. See how I'm making it even with the edge of the red paper? Let me zoom in a little bit. Watch the screen when I'm pulling from down here, from the tab, and I'm just pulling to make it even. Okay, so now it's even. So now what you can do is turn it over on the other side and just cut these edges right off. Give them a haircut. Now sometimes you may have to do one more step. Depends on what's going on your paper. You may have to glue the edges down, because sometimes they want to come out. So if that's the case, if you want to glue and make it more permanent, you can just put a little bit of glue back here and stick it down, and do that for all of them on the front, and then once that's dry you can turn it over and do the ones that are on the back. Okay, the ones that are started out being under. And then you could glue them and make it more permanent. And then you could even take it a step further if you know somebody who's got a laminating machine and you want to laminate this and make it into a plastic table mat, you can do that too. Okay? So this was a really fun project. This was really cool. I hope that you guys will enjoy this. If you don't, for some reason, have construction paper, any kind of colored paper would be okay. And if at very, very least, if you only have white paper, then, just use colors on white paper. Use the white, a plain white sheet for your bottom, for this base that you're weaving through, and then use white paper to design with markers, different colors, patterns and lines and things like that, and use that to cut the strips of paper with, okay? That would work just as well if you have to do it that way. And I hope you guys enjoyed learning about Kente Cloth. Please make sure you look at the references because they're super cool. And if you want to do further research, you just type in Kente cloth, Cloth. And if you do a Google search with your parents' permission or someone sitting with you, you'll see all kinds of really beautiful, rich patterns and designs and colors that we're talking about today. And you can see them for yourself. Or if you know somebody that's from any of the West African countries, or from Ghana, from anywhere in Africa, maybe even other countries have designs and patterns like this. There are a lot of Latin cultures that have really very interesting designs and patterns too. See if you could find something like that, and if you do, take a picture and send it to me. I'd love to see. I know that in Mexico they have beautiful, beautiful patterns and very rich, vibrant colors as well. So if you want to take a picture or use those things to help you get ideas, please do. That would be awesome. And just send me some pictures of what you are looking at and what you're doing. Okay? Can't wait to see what you guys make. See you again next time, and thanks for watching.